Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Army Private Joe Alamon, and you're in for a special treat this afternoon. We got a special show. It is What's the Word, which premieres every other Thursday, except these first 2 weeks, of course, and our special guest, Mr. Frank Fisher.
Thanks, PFC Alamon. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of What's the Word, the program that keeps you up to date on Area 1's transformation and how it'll affect you. Because this is our first broadcast, we're making this one an overall look at what transformation is. We'll lay out for you what's going to change, when it'll change, and how it'll impact you. AFN Casey and USAG Red Cloud have teamed up to bring you this new radio show devoted to transformation. And here's why. A few years from now, the U.S. Army plans to move out of Area 1 and head south to a new home at Camp Humphreys. The preparations for that move are starting now. Little by little, big changes will kick in. Fewer and fewer families, Casey Elementary School will close next year, and as the Area 1 population gradually changes, the level of on-post shopping and other services will change too. You'll need to know what changes are coming and when, and what to do about them. Those are the kinds of things we'll be making clear for you here on What's the Word. What's the Word will air on AFN Casey Radio every other Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. On each edition, we'll interview the inside experts with the up-to-date lowdown on Area 1 transformation. For example, once the Casey School is closed, what do you do if you have school-age kids? Will there still be commissaries and exchanges? And what about health care? If you're an out-processing soldier, what'll you need to do? We'll answer that and a lot else for you on What's the Word. And of course, between interview segments, our AFN DJ will play the music you've come to count on from AFN Casey, the Eagle. Well, that's a quick sketch of this new broadcast. We're going to pause here as my broadcast partner, PFC Joe Alamon, takes us into our first break.
That's right, so stay tuned because there's more coming your way this hour. But right now, let's get you back into the music with Hosier's Take Me to Church here on AFN Casey, the Eagle. You just heard Theory of a Dead Man with All or Nothing, and you heard it here on AFN Casey the Eagle, where we're serving America's best. And it's Thursday, the premiere of What's the Word, the show that tells you all about transformation here in Area 1. And our host, our very special guest, Mr. Frank Fisher.
Thanks, PFC Alamon. Hello again, and we're back with What's the Word, the program that tells you what you need to know about Area 1's transformation. And it's time to find out just what that means. What is Area 1 transformation? And with us to help make those things clear are today's guests. They are Colonel Jack Hafner, Commander, U.S. Army Garrison Red Cloud and Area 1, and the Garrison's senior enlisted leader, Command Sergeant Major Patrick M. Quirk. Colonel Hafner, Sergeant Major Quirk, welcome.
Thanks, Frank.
Appreciate it. Yes. It's time now to find out just what Area 1 transformation is and why it's happening. Tell our guests, our listeners, please, just what does that mean? What is Area 1 transformation?
So, thanks, Frank. Our forces within the Alliance are always looking for ways to posture our forces to better strengthen our mutual capability. So what's going on in Korea right now is part of that to reach those national interests, both for the Koreans and for the U.S. And that really calls for largely consolidating in two hubs here in Korea. One at Pyeongtaek by Camp Humphreys, and then Daegu in Area 4. That has been a process that has already started. Okay, so under the Land Partnership Program, we have agreed mutually to consolidate a lot of the forces in Area 1 down south to Area 3 while retaining certain training land and training capability here up in Area 1.
Right, thank you. And is there any connection in particular between the plan to move out of Area 1 and the plan to move out of Area 2? It sounds to me as though these are both part of that same plan that you were talking about?
It's part of the overarching plan. That is correct. It's a slightly different program that they're utilizing, but it's still part of that mutual desire between the U.S. and the ROC to consolidate those two areas.
Right. Something that's on the minds of a lot of people in Area 1 these days is just what changes are going to come about as a result of Area 1's transformation. And we can go into some detail on those a little later, but it might be good to just first let people know what the major categories of change are going to be.
So I think when you look at the transformation process, and I was trying to give some context there, right? That's one aspect of it. But just like when you're driving down the highway and you see a sign way down there and you can't read it, you're really not that interested in it because it's not in front of you, right? Mm-hmm. So the things that are in front of us are probably going to be more apropos for our listening audience. Exclusive of the transformation process is the rotational units and that concept. So within the Department of Defense, we're continually trying to reassess capabilities and ways to meet our force posture requirements. We already have rotational forces here in Korea, right? The ARS, which is down at Humphreys,
right,
and the Combined Arms Battalion, which is split between Camp Stanley and Hovey. So that's already underway. So as part of what's really in the view screen right in front of us here, and the next year, you'll see some of the forces change and morph a little bit. So one ABCT, our heralded Iron Brigade, will will transfer their responsibilities over to 2-1 Cav out of Fort Hood. Okay, and that will happen this summer. And so you'll see that flurry of activity that will occur as part of that. A little bit farther down the horizon, you'll see, as you mentioned in the intro, the school will close at the end of school year 15-16, right? So families have already been reducing here in Area 1. A year ago, we had 864 command-sponsored families, 169 non-command sponsored families. That is drawing down significantly. So we're already seeing that. We're seeing that in our CYSS programs, like youth sports, that are trying to put together teams this spring, right? We see that within our child care environment, and obviously you see that within your schools as well. So those are things that are occurring right in front of us right now.
Right. What about things like recreational services, sports, that kind of thing?
So, Mr. Fisher, as you look as we transform and we do the rip-toe and 2-1 comes in and 1 ABCT rolls out and you've got the 3-8 leaving, you've got 4-7 coming in, and there's a lot of great opportunities, and a lot of people will say that really what is happening to Area 1, what is really happening to Area 2, is it just kind of going to dry up and go away and just nothing be there? But it really is farthest from the truth. So when you look at the Best Boss program in the Pacific, as in 2014, 2015, there's a lot of great activities for the soldiers, for married soldiers that are here that are unaccompanied, great opportunities to go to Jeju Island, great opportunities for community service, great opportunities for leisure and recreation, and the quality of life, of which we build our 3 pillars in the BOSS program off of. So as well as that, and we'll probably get into just a little bit more of that later in the segment, as we talk about Cary Fitness Center and the great things that are coming to Camp Casey. Mm-hmm. We look at the renovation of the Gateway Club. We look at the renovation of the main thoroughfare in the roadway that is going to be aligned on the left and right with cherry blossoms and the transition to LED lights. And a lot of great stuff is happening here at Camp Casey, which of course is going to be that residual footprint that we see in the future, as the Colonel was talking about those signs way down on the road. But there is a lot of things to do for soldiers here. So if soldiers leave here disappointed and frustrated that they didn't get an opportunity to embrace the culture of Korea, shame on them. It's because they didn't have the opportunity or the passion to open up their door, get out into the culture where it's happening, right? It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I would ask that they just don't waste it.
Right. Those are some very interesting and exciting things that you were mentioning, just what's coming up here at Camp Casey. And does this reflect the fact that the families are drawing down and that eventually this will be pretty much an unaccompanied soldier duty station? Is that part of why that's all happening, or would that have happened anyway?
Well, I think if you look back, Mr. Fisher, at February of last year, as Colonel Hefner was discussing earlier, is when really that command sponsorship went away. And when that command sponsorship goes away, not only for Area 1, but for any area, you will start seeing a drastic decrease in numbers, as the Colonel had mentioned, the mid-600s to where we are today. And even in the future, when you look at those child youth services and those certain programs, those will have to be assessed on a monthly, quarterly basis. And the Colonel may get into that a little bit later, but those will be assessments that are done methodically to ensure that the soldiers and the families that still reside here have those capabilities, and where that line in the sand is that we really need to take a strong look at.
Right. We're going to have a break now. It's back to PFC Aleman.
All right, stay tuned for more coming your way about the transformation just in a bit. But right now, let's get back into the music. Here's a special request from Sergeant Major himself, Green Day's Time of Your Life, Good Riddance on AFN Casey the Eagle. You just heard Kid Rock with First Kiss here on AFN Casey the Eagle, where we're serving America's best. Army Private Joe Alamon here. Thanks for tuning in this afternoon. We got a special show again. It's What's the Word? And our special host, Mr. Frank Fisher.
Thanks, PFC Aleman. Hello again. We are back with What's the Word? And we're talking about transformation with our guests, Colonel Jack Hafner and Command Sergeant Major Patrick M. Quirk. Before the break, we heard something about the many things that will be happening and in some cases are underway to support soldiers as Area 1 gradually transforms to a mainly unaccompanied tour of duty. What can you tell us, please, in more detail about that? What will be happening for the support of soldiers?
Good question, Frank. So, the Army's in the business of providing essential capabilities so its soldiers can go forward and do the nation's bidding, right? So it's no surprise to most of your listening audience that, especially in this last few years, in this year alone, the Army has had a $5.1 billion shortfall, right? To keep certain capabilities, especially those combat capabilities here in Area 1, right? IMCOM has taken a $2 billion hit out of that $5 billion loss, okay? Plus another $236 million we just found out about, right? So in our business of synchronizing essential soldier services, we make every dollar count, okay? We try to stretch it and do the right thing. Sometimes we do it right and great. Sometimes we do it less great, all right? So a lot of the things you see around here in Camp Casey and Area 1 are products of the planning and the things that we have been doing over years. When we put these plans in place, we're doing over years. So first of all, I want to thank the the listening audience for all that they've had to endure. So when the inconvenience of Kerry Gym being closed, which it is an inconvenience, those are decisions that were made a number of years ago, and the soldiers here today probably won't see it when it reopens, okay? Right. Or only enjoy it for a little bit of amount of time. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Gateway and stuff like that. And that whole road there that's being torn up from natural gas use so we can save money on our energy intensity, about $1 million a year we're saving. So you imagine what the utility bill is to start with, right? We're repaving that whole section of road. So there's the inconvenience of the detours and one-lane traffic and things like that. So that's what has been ongoing for some time. So Sergeant Major here is going to talk a little bit about soldier services, because a lot of those things are really behind the scenes, right? Mm-hmm. Where folks don't really see how that happens and how we're sort of monitoring budgets and making sure we're working our margins, because it is a business that we have to stay solvent. We have to pay our civilian workforce. We got to keep the lights running. Those mandatory obligations we must keep, and those soldier obligations that we must adhere to. Sergeant Major?
So, Mr. Fisher, what I want to really do is kind of caveat and ride the coattails of what Colonel Hefner was talking about is some of those soldier support activities, right? So what I do day in and day out, and I think it's the most important, because as senior leaders, sometimes we don't practice what we preach, and that's education, right? So whether you're at Camp Stanley or if you're at Jackson, you're at JSA that might have to come down to Camp Casey, it's really about your education and getting after it now, because where we were 10 years ago in the Army is where we are today. So a lot of that deals with a lot of soldiers younger that I will ask that just came in the Army, how much education do you have? And they will, of course, reply none. And I say, well, how long have you been in the Army? Well, I just got out of AIT. So what the education piece that I'm asking the leaders to do and help me is to bumper sticker this, is that just because soldiers are out of the Army and they're still within their 12 months of their AIT graduation, a lot of people will say they can't use their post 9/11 GI Bill, and that's absolutely right. But what you can do is you can CLEP, right? You can do Dante's, you can do Pell Grants, and those are messages that Colonel Hefner and I take all across Area 1 because it's important. Not only to embrace your culture, as I discussed before in the program, but it's also to embrace your own personal education, right? Because certainly if you sit here and play your PS1 and your PS4 or your Xbox One for 365 days, truly you will leave out of here with no experience in culture of the Korean language.
True.
And you will leave out of here with no education, and that's just a shame. But that's the biggest thing that I always take with me and the Colonel as well. But the Gateway Club, when you talk about the Gateway Club, and the Colonel talked about patience truly is a virtue, and it will be. The Gateway Club's going to come with a new venue, it's going to come with new management, it's going to come with a new menu, and you will enjoy it. That I promise you. When Cary Fitness opens up on right now is a projected date of the 1st of May, it will be a collegiate level facility. That is hands down. Mr. Butler and I walked through it yesterday, who was our sports director through FMWR. That color code that you're going to see when you walk in there is going to be gray, it's going to be black, it's going to be gold, and you will recognize it as a collegiate facility when you walk in. They've got fitness on demand. We just got approved from IMCOM earlier this week, where you can get a platoon of soldiers in there, and it's on demand, on fitness, and I think it's over, Mr. Butler will probably tell me the number's a little off, but I think it's over 50 different demand programs. And then, of course, like I talked about for the BOSS program. Get involved in your BOSS program, make a difference.
That's great. Thank you. Back to PFC Alaman for a break.
All right, stay tuned because we still got more coming your way, so don't miss it. But right now, let's get you back into the music right after this Casey update. That was Calvin Harris featuring Ellie Goulding, and you heard it here on AFN Casey the Eagle, where we're serving America's best. Army Private Joe Alaman here, glad to be hosting another new show that we're having here on AFN Casey. It's What's the Word with our very own host, Mr. Frank Fisher.
Thanks, PFC Alaman. Hello again, and we're here with our guests, Colonel Jack Hafner and Command Sergeant Major Patrick M. Quirk, and we're hearing today an overview of just what Area 1 transformation is. And earlier, we heard our guests talking, among other things, about the rotational units that are in Area 1, and there's a good deal of important activity coming up this summer. Could you please tell us about that?
Yeah, Frank, there's a number of different things we're starting to work. For one, as the school starts to reduce in size, right? Right now they occupy 2 facilities, right? So we're working the process of consolidating some things that are reducing. One, to affect energy intensity, right? Because all that's money that goes back into the bank that we want to save, right? And number 2, we want to strike while the iron's hot, meaning while we have some funding to repurpose facilities, we got to do it as soon as possible. So that's one piece that we're working there. And that process that we're working with both the 210 Field Artillery Brigade and the Garrison, as we sort of all morph over time, we've got to do that wisely, okay? We do that by master planning and doing the right things that any city does anywhere else. So you'll also see, for those who are on their one-year tour, probably leaving this summer, right around towards the end, you'll see all that activity where 2-1 Cav starts to move in and starts to flow in. So it's a very tight plan that 1ABCT is working as they exit their barracks and their facilities, that those are signed over through supply sergeants, right, with the 1st Sergeant Barracks program.
Absolutely.
Which gives the control of the barracks back to the units the way it always used to be, so they can manage it, and bringing those soldiers in and having them sign and getting them integrated as soon as possible, all right? So that happens all really in the month of June, starting in May with some other folks from 210, but mostly with the rotational BCT in June. That month is stacked with that activity to in process and out process. So as part of that endeavor, we have been working with the Brigade S1, with 2IDG1, and others, our military personnel detachment, not only here, okay, because we're working at heart, we're doing all those orders for all those soldiers so they can get out of here, but in addition, the normal rotations for people who have to leave this summer. we're working that here, and we're farming it out to all the other MPDs here on the peninsula. They're all working it to try to surge activity. Invariably, it's going to be rough. There's going to be some folks who need to change and modify their orders because the levy packet's not being right. So when a soldier's filling out a levy packet, that stuff matters because we have got to get accurate orders, so we don't have to limit rework. Right. So they can get what they need.
Right.
So a couple of the other things that we're working with Mr. Fisher is we know that this transformation, as the Colonel was alluding to, is going to be probably is the most important thing, obviously, in the summer fun. So what I've got to do is I've got to work with OSHA Crenshaw for Area 1 when we talk about the commissaries and we talk about those things that are still available to the families and the soldiers that are not only leaving, but those that are coming in because of the increase in the population, as well as working with Miss Gloria Cho from our AFES in Area 1 to ensure that those soldiers' family members have things that they are going to need to make them feel at home. Right? Those are things that we do here at IMCOM. And just as the commander had said, working hand in hand with the 2nd Infantry Division, G1, to ensure from that administrative side, as well as DPW Housing Division, in LRC, Mr. Williams, that all of that is combined to try and seamlessly get them out as we get them in. So truly it is a cooperated effort with a lot of people with a lot of passion to try to get it right the first time through, and that is G1, that's DPW, that's Garrison, and that's everybody trying to do the right thing.
And leaders.
So, and leaders, of course, absolutely, sir.
With all of that flurry of activity coming up, particularly in June, and the fact that there's a surge now to make it all happen right, is there anything that in particular that'll be done to make sure that members of the community, not only soldiers, but any family members that may still be here, know what's what and what to do?
Yeah, sure, Frank. Well, we have a command information exchange led by Major General Vandal and myself every quarter. The next one's coming up next month, right? So that's there. And we have both our other media outlets, like the Morning Calm, in addition to that, Facebook, the social media, etc. So keep your ear to the ground because that's how we communicate. And if we don't communicate in a way that you want, let us know. Put in an ICE comment. That's how we get our feedback, right? Or tell us, catch us on the street, and let us know. And we'll try to adapt and improvise and make it happen.
Right, great. Well, time for a break and back to PFC Aleman.
Alrighty, we got one more segment, so don't miss out, because there's still one more thing we got to talk about right before we leave. But right now, here's some more music. Here's the Goo Goo Dolls with Rebel Beat on AFN Casey the Eagle. You just heard Rebel Beat by the Goo Goo Dolls, and you're listening to AFN Casey the Eagle. It's been a good hour, and we appreciate Mr. Fisher being here for What's the Word, which happens every Thursday. Sir?
Thanks, PFC Aleman. And we're back indeed with What's the Word. If you're just joining us, we've had today an overview of transformation with our guests, Colonel Jack Hafner and Command Sergeant Major Patrick M. Quirk. I want to say thank you to you both, Colonel Hafner, Sergeant Major Quirk.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher.
What's the Word airs every other Thursday at 3 p.m. However, an exception to that will be our very next broadcast, which will actually be just 1 week from today, Thursday, March 19th. From 3 to 4 p.m. here on AFN Casey Radio. Our transformation topic will be how the transition from accompanied to unaccompanied will change Area 1. We've heard a bit about that today, and we'll go into even greater detail on that in our next broadcast. I'm Frank Fisher of the Area 1 Public Affairs Office. I've been your host for What's the Word, and I wonder if our guests have anything they'd like to say briefly before we sign off.
I wanted to thank the listening audience. It is such a pleasure for Sergeant Major and I to work here up in Area 1 and live here and be your community managers, so to speak. It is a great honor. IMCOM is in the business to do that, to care and create a professional workforce to run your communities, right? I do that with General Vandal giving me his requirements and to make that work, the other brigade commanders, etc. It's a pleasure to do that, and that's what we're in the business to do, and hopefully do it well, and you let us know when we don't do it so well.
Just to get a caveat off the Colonel, I think I've really got the best job in the world, right? I don't make money behind my desk. I make money out on the streets, talking to soldiers, talking to leaders, and really tell me how to make a difference. do it through the tweeter, do it through the Facebook, do it through the telephone, do it through seeing my name tag on the side of the road. Because I promise you, if you tell me a different way to make a difference and it betters the community, it's a common sense approach to just getting it done. So again, thanks, Mr. Fisher, so much for having us and all the listeners. Take care. God bless.
Well, thank you both very much indeed. Back to PFC Aleman.
It's been a great hour, and I hope you enjoyed it. And again, stick around for next week when we do it again. Sir, I know you'll have some more guests for us, and
yes,
get
indeed.
deeper into it. So,
yes.
Again, tune in next week. Same time, same place here on AFN Casey the Eagle. But now we're going to leave you off with some good tunes. Here's Fall Out Boy with Centuries on AFN Casey the Eagle.